So, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And once again, we are live here. And I've just realized, well, I'm actually able to fucking change the title of my stream while I'm streaming, which just definitely is not anything new as I'm thinking about it. But for me, kind of it is. I've set up things a bit differently. I'm also seeing the chat right now. It's actually pretty amazing. The incorporation, it's really, really fucking amazing. But today we are, as the title suggests, talking about Breath by James Nestor, which basically is, or I assume, I have not read anything about it so far. It is a book on meditation and mindfulness and so on and so forth. So let's actually see. I can't do this anymore. We are done here. Done. Oh, I see. That's amazing. There we go. It's a bit... I could actually make it bigger. There we go. I guess this is fine, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. So, Breath by James Nestor by the netaliation.com site provided us a summary, or basically book notes. What this means is it's not the full book. If it is good, you can see through those notes pretty well. I would assume that they are not too subjective, that there is some objectivity to all the book notes, to all the book summaries. Of course, there's also a bit of subjectivity in terms of, okay, what am I even just putting into my notes? What do I think is important? But I guess that it gives you, somewhat of an, it suggests somehow what the book is going to be about. If it is good, if it is bad, if you like it, if you, do not like it, and maybe also if it is even interesting for you. Because if, the author is talking about things that you already know and whatnot, then, well, should you read it? I don't know. But yeah, anyway. The most important highlights and takeaways from the book, Breath by James Nestor. And it was rated 9 out of 10, which is also a variable to keep in mind because, how should I say? This person went through so many book summaries. I would assume that he knows what he's talking about, and how to rate a book. And, well, he went through so many books, not book summaries. So I think it's pretty great. I really guess it is. Anyway. Mouth breathing was also making me dumber. A recent Japanese study showed that rats who had their nostrils obstructed and were forced to breathe through their mouths developed fewer brain cells and took twice as long to make their way through a maze than nasal breathing controls. Page 30, apparently. The new science of the lost art, or of a lost art. It might actually be the case that I already ran through this, but it kind of just was interesting to me. So an updated version is quite always a rather good idea. But with studies, it's always a thing, at least at my point of view, because is it really the case? How was the study done? I would actually have to really, have a look just at the study and read the paper itself, probably multiple times, to then decide whether I want to take this into account. But anyway, at night they'd stand over sleeping infants and gently pinch mouths shut. Oh. If they opened, some planes stripes strapped infants to a straight board and placed a pillow beneath their heads, creating a posture that made it much harder to breathe through the mouth. During winter, infants would be wrapped in light clothing and then held at arm's length on warmer days so they'd be less prone to get too hot and begin panting. This is actually really interesting. If this study is real and really the case, then it just really makes sense. I do not want my kid to breathe through his or her mouth. Let's put it like this. Does make sense. Dr. Mark Purhan, which is Mark, just K and Burchenne, if you want to look it up, told me that mouth breathing contributed to periodontal disease and bad breath and was the #1 cause of cavities. Even more damaging than sugar consumption, bad diet, or poor hygiene. It actually, for me, it sounds a bit woo-woo. It's like, okay, you shouldn't breathe, kind of, apparently breathing is also bad, and then you should not be breathing, at least not through your mouth. And for me, it seems a bit too much. It seems a bit exaggerated, but it might be the case because I don't know the literature, and I don't know those studies, so it may actually really be the case. Something that I'm noticing in terms of bad breath, so what about snoring then? Is this, one of the reasons why when you're snoring you probably are not sleeping as well? At least I think I am, or I feel like I am. On the other hand, when you're wearing a mask, I do feel like that there is a tendency of just, a worse breath. For some reason, this might be due to mouth breathing, because you do not get as much air through your nose, because you're having the mask on. And I'm just really not against masks. I think that the mask was the only reason why I haven't had COVID up to this point, for sure. Because I'm working in this industry, as a paramedic, and I'm doing shit and whatnot, and I'm having to deal with those people. And without it, I would have already gotten COVID just, hundreds of times, I would assume. But anyway, I do have a feeling that it does contribute to bad breath. For some reason. Might be due to mouth breathing. Might be due to you inhaling and exhaling your own breath all the fucking time. Which may actually also lead to mouth breathing. I don't know. I would actually have to try it out, but I would say it's difficult because I would have to do this over just, a pretty extended period of time to make sure that there is nothing, even though, my days are fairly similar. On the other hand, anyway, you know what I mean. In the 1980s, researchers with the Framingham study, a 70-year longitudinal research program focused on heart disease, attempted to find out if lung size really did correlate to longevity. They gathered 2 decades of data from 2,500 subjects, crunched numbers, and discovered that the greatest indicator of lifespan wasn't genetics, diet, or the amount of daily exercise. As many had suspected, it was lung capacity. As I'm thinking about it, when you are working out, you're also, from time to time, breathing through your mouth because you just, do not get as much air as you would like to have through your nose. I also just, feel like this is interesting. I feel like my nose is a bit stuffed for whatever reason. I don't know. So lung capacity being something important. So there is a bird. So what about breath exercises? The Wim Hof method, maybe? I don't know. At age 16, Schroth, maybe Schroth, began training herself in something called autopatic breathing, or orthopedic, probably, breathing. She would stand in front of a mirror, twist her body, and inhale into one lung while limiting air intake to the other. Then she'd hobble over to a table, sling her body on its side, and arch her chest back and forth to loosen her rib cage while breathing into the empty space. Schroth spent 5 years doing this. At the end, she effectively cured herself of incurable scoliosis. She'd breathed her spine straight again. Which, by the way, I'm also having scoliosis in my lower back, just being an extreme S, which may not be the best thing, but on the other hand, I think it is contributing to me being a relatively fast runner, which may just be complete bullshit. I don't fucking know, but I kind of feel like it. So I do want to repeat this again. She would stand in front of a mirror, twist her body and inhale into one lung, while limiting air intake to the other. Then she'd hobble over to a table, slinging her body on its side, and arch her chest back and forth to loosen her ribcage. While breathing into empty space, emphysema, he realized, was a disease of exhalation. The patients were suffering not because they couldn't get fresh air into their lungs, but because they couldn't get enough stale air out. I searched through the current treatments for the nearly 4 million Americans now suffering from emphysema. There were bronchodilators, steroids, and antibiotics. By the way, steroids, I do not want to say that they are not bad, but I also don't want to say that they're just so bad as it may sound by saying steroids. This is, I think, conscious, conscious writing. Writing steroids, it may sound more extreme than, I think, steroidal medications or something. There's another word you could use, basically. But anyway. There was supplemental oxygen and surgery and something called pulmonary rehabilitation, which included assistance to quit smoking, exercise planning, nutrition counseling, and some pursed lip breathing techniques. I think it is, which I'm also seeing with people that are having, is it OCD? No, it's not OCD. OCD is something different, I guess. What is it called? There's also just, a German acronym, like 4 letters or something. I would actually like to know that now. Pulmonary disease. Oh, COPD, yes. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Which most often happens because you just, because of smoking. Most often. Very often. So do not smoke, because you can't breathe very well when having COPD. And there are stages, from 1 to, I think, 4. And 4 is like you're always having oxygen on your side, because without oxygen you would fucking die. Somewhat. This is why I thought about it. There's also some lip technique that you're using. I guess it's... Is it this? What? I have to look it up. COPD lip breathing. Yeah, this is... Yeah, it's actually... pursed lip breathing is a technique that helps people living with asthma or COPD when they experience shortness of breath. Pursed lip breathing helps control shortness of breath and provides a quick and easy way to slow your pace of breathing, making each breath more effective. From lung.org. Didn't know that this exists. Transcript. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Make sure to keep your mouth closed. Some people find it helpful to count themselves. Inhale 1, 2, pucker or purse your lips as if you were going to whistle, or gently blow out a candle. Okay. There's actually a video. I hope that I'm allowed to show that, but let's
Pursed lip breathing is a technique that helps people living with asthma or COPD when you feel to practice pursed lip breathing, sit down in a chair and relax your neck and shoulder muscles. Or to keep your mouth closed.
Breathe in slowly through your nose.
Inhale 1, 2.
And then what you're doing?
Pucker or purse your lips as if you were going to whistle or gently blow out a candle.
Step 4, exhale.
Try to breathe out longer than your inhale.
Okay, but also
some people find it helpful to count to themselves. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4.
Seems like it.
Continue to repeat this exercise of by moving oxygen into keep airways open longer so that you can remove.
Well, very important to know for people that are having such diseases. Probably is making your life better. Yesterday, by the way, just because I'm thinking about it, I was also having some shortness of breath due to fucking caffeine. I've the first time after January, probably 2 months or something. I've had caffeine yesterday. My sleep wasn't that amazing. I was a bit. Well, I drank 3 cups of coffee. Just, is it smart? No, definitely not. But I wanted to try out whether I'm still having issues with it. It is quite fine, but I do just still want to limit it because, I don't know, having good sleep and being able to sleep very well is great. Of course, caffeine is also really great because I feel just amazing. Having a lot of strength, especially when I'm relatively tired. But one really needs to, think about the, what's it called? The time where half of it just is broken down by the body, or just basically when all of the caffeine is out. Yeah, just something to consider, something to think about, and something to keep in mind. But that being said, I'm going to see you the next time. So, bye-bye.